Yume Nikki. Do I need to explain what Yume Nikki is? I mean, to say that Yume Nikki is probably one of the most impactful horror games of all time is an understatement. There are hundreds of analysis videos on YouTube that explores the deep lore and themes of trauma and loneliness in Yume Nikki and why it means so much to a lot of people. The amount of fan-made sequels, remakes, and references to Yume Nikki is really something to behold of. I mean, I think without Yume Nikki, we probably wouldn't have games like Undertale, Amari, Hello Charlotte, One Shot, and lots more. Yume Nikki's impact to the indie horror scene and in the Japanese RPG maker subgenre is something to be blown away with, especially when it's made by one person and released in 2004. And still to this day, it's still being talked about. So it's probably a surprise to a lot of people that there was an official 2018 reboot, Yume Nikki Dream Diary, also known as Dream Diary Dream Diary. Hello, I'll be quick with this. Follow my Twitter where you can see me make banger tweets and updates on videos. I also have a Ko-fi page where you can directly support me. If you can, that's fine. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, thank you, bye. Mwah. Now let's go back to January 9, 2018, when a port of Yume Nikki reached to Steam, and fans were happy with the release since it was the first time any new Yume Nikki related content was released since 14 years ago. On that same day, a Yume Nikki webpage would be released, with a countdown of a related project being run by Kadokawa Corporations. This immediately built up hype for this unknown project, though understandably a lot of fans were worried that this game wouldn't live up to the expectations of the original game. Nevertheless, at the end of the countdown on the 20th of January, a trailer would be released and it would receive a lukewarm response. It wasn't blowing up the internet or whatnot, but the few people that noticed were excited to see what the developers would do with the new 3D perspective. Additionally, the game would be released by Playism, who at the time were re-releasing early Japanese horror RPG maker games like Mad Father, the Strange Man series, and Ib, so it felt like the game was in good hands. Come release, and the reception was mixed. Many people, whilst appreciating some aspects of the game like the music, lighting, and taking a new direction of the game, still criticized the clunky controls, subpar graphics and environments, and a lack of free roaming worlds, and instead going for a more linear structure that players were not impressed with. It's safe to say that Yume Nikki Dream Diary didn't live up to the expectations that Yume Nikki left on players, and expected a lot more considering a 3D Yume Nikki game should have been a big hit. Now a couple of updates later and a Nintendo Switch release, it seems like Yume Nikki Dream Diary is not in the interest of the developer or the fans, and it's long been forgotten ever since. Until now, a silly little Bidoof. I'm really interested as to why this game didn't live up to the original. It didn't have to be a one-to-one remake, as long as it kept the elements of Yume Nikki, then it couldn't be that bad, right? So let's deep dive into why Yume Nikki Dream Diary is one of the weirdest horror game reboots I've ever played. Now, let me just say, I didn't grow up with Yume Nikki. It was only recently that I played Yume Nikki, and whilst opinion alert, and it's not my favorite game, but I understand why it had such an impact to so many people. The music, the atmosphere, the soundtrack, the symbolic themings of each dream, there's so much to dissect. Sure, it may be frustrating as I'm just looking for stuff to happen, and sure, it's not the most engaging, and I have a headache from the music looping over and over again because it really is just looking around, and slowly you have to realize that it's a dead end. Sure, I don't love this game, but you know, I don't have to love a lot of things. As long as I understand what it's trying to do, then that's why I can appreciate. When playing Yume Nikki Dream Diary, there's obviously some distinct details between both. Now I would go full explanation and deep dive into both games, but this would take me way longer than 20 minutes since both games are around 5 hours each. So I'll just break it down into chapters and examine the similarities and differences, and how the original is still sort of seen as the superior version. The similarities between both games are no doubt obvious.
You stupid.
The developers modeled the same bedroom design, the balcony, and even all the dreams are taken from the original. A lot of the original characters are back with some minor tweaks for the 3D transition, including some new characters created by the original creator. I love the addition of finding concept art around the game, It's one of the few instances where I actually wanted to look at them because of how rare we get a chance to see them. Even the new concept art is quite fantastic, detailing what Yume Nikki could have looked like in 3D. A lot of players were left divided between the graphics, and whilst I can understand why people would be mixed since, yeah, it does not look the prettiest and it's obvious that this was made with a smaller budget, I think the team did a great job. It's hard because you don't want it to look realistic, but you don't want it to look anime-ish as well, and going for the semi-low poly and cheap design worked in his favor as it does give me that uncanny look. Additionally, the lighting in this game is quite great sometimes, and the art direction in some of the dreams are just eye-popping. When it comes together, it looks surreal and dreamy, and in some cases really gorgeous yet eerie, and when it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. That's an issue because when you have worlds like these, it kinda takes you out of it. We'll keep moving on, I want to save the problems later in this video. For now, I think one thing that may be better than Yume Nikki is the music. Now this is a hard one because, no lie, I love both of their soundtracks and they fit so well with their respective games. Whilst Yume Nikki has this authentic pixelated style that's similar to other soundtracks like Earthbound or many of the SNES games, Yume Nikki Dream Diary is instrumental based that creates this eerie yet charming soundtrack. It feels more open and off-putting compared to the original, but man, both soundtracks work so well. I mean, just take a listen. Unfortunately, I struggled to find any other redeeming qualities within Dream Diary. As I mentioned before, the game looks low budget, and despite how big Kadokawa Corporation is, it seems like not a huge budget went into this project, which is fine. You don't need a massive budget to make a good game. What does affect a good game, and how you can tell by the experience within the team, is the controls. Now, I'm not saying that developers are inexperienced. However, judging the catalog of games they've done before, it seems like they consist of licensed anime visual novels, and most likely it's their first attempt in making a 3D open world-esque game. For the most part, they translate the world of Yume Nikki pretty well, but the controls, oh man, they're kinda frustrating. When I'm controlling in the side-scrolling areas, which is another thing I want to talk about, it's fine. But once you reach the purple world, good luck walking around. There's such a big delay to the input for some reason that when making precise jumps and movements, you can screw yourself over, making doing parkour abysmal to play on. Like the warehouse and the bridges were just frustrating to get through. I had to watch a Manly Badass Hero video just to make sure I'm doing it right. I'm sorry if this section is so long, but I want to reinstate how important movement and controls are. If it's not good, why bother keep playing it then? Now, when you think of a 3D Yume Nikki game, the concept itself is incredible. I mean, Yume Nikki is all about exploring and discovering new things in this unknown territory of your dreams, and for some parts, Dream Diary kinda succeeds in that. Kinda. You see, in some dreams, it is open-ended, whilst others are more in line with side-scrollers, elements of Metroidvania, platformers, puzzle-solving, chase sequences, all combining into a pretty linear story structure, which essentially is playing all the dreams and reaching to the end. Whilst I can accommodate the team's commitment and experimentation with switching to different genres and trying to appeal to a wider player base, it loses the identity that the game wants to be. You may have noticed that I did not talk much about the story and theories surrounding Yume Nikki Dream Diary, and whilst the dreams do consist on some thoughts, there's just so much to dissect with the original that says a lot about the game's quality and how much you get out of each dream, because technically there is no end to the levels, freely letting the player engross into these worlds. Dream Diary, however, is simple to understand. You don't really need an hour-long video essay explaining it. Sure, you can choose your own level, but there's always an ending to them. And I think that's a problem. There's not a lot to engross yourself in. Once you complete with the dream, you're done with it. You're not obligated to stay in that dream, which kinda sucks considering that you only have access to half of the dreams from the original game, and only 4 effects. It's very confusing as to who this game was made for. Definitely not meant for the hardcore Yume Nikki fans, considering the huge changes to the gameplay and the lack of any new dreams or effects that makes it superior to the original. It's also not made for new fans or to regular gamers, since it's too confusing even to the linear structure. The controls are frustrating and doesn't really scale them that much. What's the point of this game, especially when you have to pay $20? Sure, it's a whole reboot, but considering that Yume Nikki is free and it's full of interesting lore and worlds to explore, why scoff of $20 for half of the experience? I know this seems like a very negative video, but one thing I think it's very misleading, and maybe I'm overthinking this, but I don't know why they keep pushing Kikiyama's name in the marketing, the website, and in the beginning of the game. Like sure, in the marketing that's normal, but the fact you had to put it in the game as well doesn't really make sense. Of course, if you like the game, go ahead and continue to love it. But to me, I would not personally recommend the game to anyone, not even to the Yume Nikki fans, especially not paying full price for a lackluster game. But you know what, I am curious as to what you guys think of this game. I'm not sure how to feel about it, but I would love to hear from you guys. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.